There we go. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first masterclass for 2026 of SDR Leaders of EMEA. I'm Dave Wilkins, founder of SDR Leaders of EMEA, and today we've got a really good masterclass to kick off the year and talking about how to look at leading your team. Micromanaging is something that we hate, but unfortunately, and I'm guilty of it as more most, it's like you sometimes fall into that trap, and you have to try and figure out in yourself, okay, what are the kind of processes and steps that you can take to not feel that anguish and that angst that you sometimes get with leaders pushing down on you, um, and putting a framework to help with really elevating your team and getting them to put and perform so much better than that kind of old school traditional, what's your number, how many dials you made, blah blah blah. So today we've got Thomas Sally, who is one of our original members here of SDR Leaders of EMEA. That's going to be delivering this masterclass. If you have questions in the chat, if you have questions, put them in the chat. I'll interrupt Tom and get him to answer them. And if you can't wait for me to get your question answered, also raise your hand on Zoom and we'll get them answered. Tom, over to you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks everybody for joining today. I'm super happy to give this masterclass. As Dave said, I'm a member of the community for a long time now, and it's really an honor to have you here, all the attendees. I see a lot of people connected. It's quite impressive. So thanks for being here, and just jump in with your question, and we'll try to answer it in the best way. I just kick off. So today, as Dave said, we will talk basically. I titled the masterclass "From Micromanaging to Empowering: A Coaching Blueprint for SDR Leaders." So, who is this for? I think we have all been in this situation. You're caught between doing and leading, and what we all want, I believe, is an empowered and autonomous teams. And sometimes it's just hard to balance and to juggle. So I'm Tom Saleh. I'm French. Sorry for the accent. I'm based in Athens, in Greece. I'm an executive coach in leadership and sales, and I coach now sales leaders and reps. I'm a former SDR manager, where I actually led a fully remote SDR team across Europe. I know it's less and less the case, but yeah, from COVID onwards, it was big remote team. Hence why probably I started managing my team with micromanagement for the first few months, not being able to go at their desk, so or next to them to catch up. So what we'll see today is how to shift from micromanaging to empowering, so from controlling to coaching your team. So as I said, my first leadership role, I was jumping from SDR to SDR leader. Naturally, I had this nice imposter syndrome. Not that I don't have it anymore, but that was the case as well during this shift. And it was as well in a high pressure environment. The startup I was in a scaling phase. We had a lot of hires, high expectations, and again, the team was fully remote. So the first few months, what triggered micromanagement in my leadership style was I tried to recall a bit, but I think it was mainly the anxiety linked with the pipeline reviews. I had this fear of missing targets, and I couldn't forecast forecast the right way, my team, because the people were new. I was new in my role, so forecast was I was struggling with it. So in an attempt actually to reduce this stress and this anxiety, I was trying to get more control. So I was leading with KPIs, with activities, saying you didn't do enough calls, you didn't do enough emails. I didn't like the way you wrote these emails. I would have wrote it that way. Um, Basically saying to them how to do the work as I would do it myself. And I had experienced this as well from a manager in the past. I never really liked it. I think nobody enjoyed this. I didn't quite realize I was micromanaging back then. But then slowly I saw that this behavior had an impact for me and my team. So on me, I felt that I was kind of carrying everything alone. So I was feeling more and more alone. It's like there were two Tom. So there was one version of me that was influencing up and speaking with the exec team. And then the other version of me that was managing down with the SDRs in my team. And this created a constant tension. And I was just on the path to lose it all. The impact on the team, I believe, was even greater because they didn't feel that they had a leader. There was no vision. Um, there was not much, there was nothing was emphasized around development. Um, the motivation was lower, less ownership, less trust. And overall, I've seen a decline in the performance. So the decline in the performance when I looked at the data was really like a wake-up call, like I have to do something. So when I realized that all the SDRs basically cannot be a mini me, um, and I realized as well that this was not the type of leader I wanted to be, I took some actions. So I developed my leadership. I asked budget from the company I was in to invest in me. I got in an SDR manager bootcamp. Of course, I read books around leadership, around sales, and I got a coach. And this coach had a huge impact on me. That's actually why I wanted to become a coach and why I'm coaching today. So now I will explain to you what are I believe, the coaching blueprint that I want to share with you so that you can empower your team. And I think I kind of describe it around three pillars. So the first is trust, the second is systems, and the third is culture. So let's start with trust. I believe the biggest impact on trust between you and your team members is active listening and autonomy for your SDRs. So I had this mindset shift where I wouldn't trust that much people, but I shifted and I choose to trust the SDRs in my team and generally to trust more. Um, Trust is kind of scary because it means accepting that you can be fooled sometimes. Um, and the reality is, obviously, it will happen and there will be conflicts. So, of course, in this kind of circumstances, you have to stay professional um, and care for the people, especially on your team. Um, but for example, let's say you're getting fooled with fake activities recorded, just saying. Um, you have to understand the reasons behind it. And for that, you have to empathize and learn from it, whether this is something that comes from the SDR or from you and your leadership. And without trust, you get defensive, you cannot inspire, and you just cannot lead. So to build this trust, you need to go from control to presence. You have to stop controlling and start listening. You have to give expectations over instructions. And you have to lead by example. What I was doing a little in the first few months, then I shifted and I put a whole program in the week to have trainings for me to join calls. I created workshop. I invited as well external coach or external sales experts. And sometimes as well, I would just put a day where I will be with the team as an SDR. I think this is key to show to the people on your team that you can do the job, and this is where you will find trust from your team members. Once you have shifted your mindset, your leadership mindset, then your SDRs, you have to assist them as well into guiding them, I would say, into switching their mindset too. Because my team was remote, I implemented an entrepreneurial mindset. So what I did is I was saying to them, okay, we are all a small company, we have whole objectives. Our client basically is our expectation, the KPIs that we have set, and you have to deliver because we were all in our home, or sometimes people will work hybrid, and it really felt like everybody had his own small company and was bringing some results to the team and the overall results. So by putting this entrepreneurial mindset, I was encouraging ownership and initiative and to take risk generally. So I used trust, presence, and entrepreneurial mindset, and I used it during one-on-ones and also team meetings. For your team, um, this entrepreneurial mindset, you can have it only if you manage to build some type of psychological safety so that they feel comfortable doing mistakes or admit their weaknesses. This thing we say, there are no stupid questions, just to show vulnerability. And you have to be ready as a leader as well to show your vulnerability. Because if you don't show your vulnerability, then they will not be ready to ask for help from you. I think this is key. During my one-on-one, we were focusing on not repeating KPIs because these are already seen during the weekly review mainly. And I would lead these one-on-ones with open questions. And I will leave room with silence for the SDR to reflect and to give this space for creativity towards their goals. Now, goals, this is what will draw the SDR motivation, not the KPI goals, but more like their personal goals. Because we speak about KPIs and you have to book 10 meetings, you have to do 100 calls to make these 10 meetings, etc. But the real motivation, as for us as leaders, is not to meet the KPIs. When you meet the KPIs, maybe you get incentives, so you get money, but behind that, there are personal and professional goals. And so you have to be ready to install a place during this one-to-one, especially where the people in your team can trust you and they feel comfortable sharing with you these personal and professional goals so that you can then speak about personal development and even go deeper. You can speak about their values, who they are, and most importantly, who they want to become. And it's when you can work with your SDRs on who they want to become that then you can pave the way to their development plan. So I believe that's your role as a leader, to build mutual trust so you can guide them through this transformation. One moment, I have a technical problem. Here we go. Okay. I don't see Zoom anymore, but David, I'm still there.
Yes, you are.
Okay, cool, thanks. Um, all right. So actually, I just finished the first pillar that was about trust. Now, the second pillar is systems. Systems is important because it helps you build accountability and maintain motivations. So you have to start with a structure. There is a need for the people on your team to know what are the clear expectations, and towards this expectation that you have a proven operating model. KPI is basically for STRs to have as a reference that, okay, what is working already? The people that are matching these results, what are they doing? How they are doing it? You have to clear the responsibilities, and generally, you have to build this structure because without boundaries, you cannot then empower your SDR team. Then you need to reframe the metrics. So, as I was saying earlier, I was using KPIs in a terrible way, mostly building pressure. But metrics are here to track, not to police. People are aware if they are far from meeting the numbers. The metrics are here to build transparency, but not the pressure. The metrics should be transparent so the SDRs can have ownership of their numbers. And KPIs and the results towards KPIs are a shared responsibility. SDRs in your team and you as a leader have the same amount of responsibility in meeting these KPIs. So as I was saying earlier, I was carrying all the responsibility of meeting this KPI, but really you have equal amount of responsibility towards meeting this KPI. Now there are the tools, the dashboard. I'm sure you all guys have had plenty of headaches with dashboard. I've built, I don't know how many dashboards during my career. But actually, I was watching quite recently a replay of a previous masterclass of the SDR leaders of EMEA, which was with Harry Monkhouse, and he was presenting a dashboard and KPI for his organization. I found it very interesting. So if you're interested into dashboard, I think you should look at this one. Now I think we have a YouTube channel for the SDR leaders of EMEA. So just go to the YouTube channel and you can find the recording. And
Like and subscribe.
exactly. And so dashboard are there, it's great, but the key is that each of the SDR can reverse engineer their performance. If you feel that the numbers that you are putting on the dashboard and that are correlated to the KPIs and to the numbers that have to reach your SDRs to reach performance, if your SDRs can't use this number to understand what they have to do to reach their target, there is a problem. You have to give this transparency for each of your SDR to own their numbers, to own the dashboard, so that then they can own their performance. So the role for you as a leader is, as we said earlier, to show what works. What are the KPIs that have shown results as an example, as a blueprint, and help identify the strengths and weaknesses then of each of your SDRs. They can understand what's working for them if they can look in depth into the numbers, and they can build consistency while having a vision on their development. As a leader, you are here to coach, and then results responsibility are shared. A quick example, just because now it's coming to my mind. When I was actually leading my team at some point, I took a turn in the way that I was using the dashboard. So I had this transparency and people could look at, okay, I'm better at emailing, I'm better at calling, I'm better at this and that. I had an SDR that was giving maybe 10 calls a day, but he was having better numbers than the guy that was giving 40 calls a day. Each SDRs are different. And what I implemented is, first thing, for every monthly and weekly meeting, I was asking my SDRs to set and share their targets. So of course there was like the KPIs, what we had to meet as a team, but then at the start of the month, okay, what numbers do you want to reach at the end of the month? And it could be over the target, it could be on the target. Sometimes people will say under the target because they would believe they cannot reach it, and they will say this in front of all the other SDRs in the team, which I didn't expect this, but you could see how powerful this can be, because then you can go in a one-on-one and coach this person, and understand why this person believes that they will not reach the target for the month. And this is helpful not only because now they own the numbers, and um, they were owning their numbers and they were more accountable as SDRs. But also, you had, as a leader, I had a way better individual and team forecasting, because I knew what everybody was really believing that they could reach, what they could reach on the month, on the week, and you can do this on the quarter as well. Now, I said earlier, each rep is different, and I insist very much on this, because also when I started, I was just thinking people will do the work exactly the same way I was doing it. I found myself, people would be so much better than me, for example, emailing. I'm very bad at emailing, email sequence especially. But motivation, skills, learning style, personal and professional goals, all of these are different. So you have to dig and go in these one-on-ones, and be candid, to just be open to understand each of the people on your team, and adapt your leadership, adapt your coaching to each of the person on your team, because you will not coach one person the same way another would need it. And you can ask directly to people on your team, what do you need from me? Maybe someone needs the pressure. Someone doesn't need the pressure because he's already putting a lot of pressure on himself. And so once we had the dashboard, they own the numbers, I was coaching my team at an individual level with different type of coaching. Then I let more and more freedom within the structure that was defined. And I gave them permission to fail. So once I had established this, then I also gave them room to experiment different approaches, new things. Quick example at IKEA. I learned this last week I was listening to a podcast. They have this thing called the banana card. And so you just have like 1 or 2 banana card a year or something like this. And you just ask for your manager a banana card to take the risk. And if it fell, it's not a problem. You have the banana card. I found this very interesting. But basically it finds its roots on fail fast and sometime fail fast and learn fast. And sometimes, of course, they will succeed. Sometimes, actually, I had an SDR that built an AI agent for the team. Tremendous. And then he received an award from the company because he built this AI agent. So yeah, leave room for experiment and keep what works out of it. So we spoke about trust, about systems, and now the last pillar that I wanted to talk about is culture. In culture, um, you have to think about your leadership stance because your success as a leader is linked to the team success, obviously. And because most of us, we were individual performer and we were doing very well our job as a salesperson, um, it's not the goal anymore. Uh, you're not an individual performer anymore. And it takes time to assimilate this, but now your goal is to develop people in your team. Um, and when you develop people in your team, it's actually when you will develop yourself as a leader. So focus on thinking your people first, and then the results will follow. About the coaching style, because probably right now, or maybe you're a manager, you're a leader, but at some point you also
Hello, hello.
become a coach. Yeah, James?
Yeah, I'm all right. How you doing?
I don't think he's muted. There you go.
Okay, cool. Um, so where was I? Yeah, about the coaching. You have to embrace coaching too. You manage, you control the task, you lead, so you offer a vision and you inspire the people in your team. But you also have to coach, and to coach, you have to prioritize questions over answers. You have to prioritize purpose over building pressure on the people in your team. So empower your team basically to find the solutions. Don't find the solutions for the people in your team. That's where people will develop. And I would say to accelerate this, it's for you as well to understand that you're not alone, that you can work on the development on your team. You can, of course, you can hire external coach. You can also get advice from other departments, from exec team, etc. But there is also something is put in place collaboration. Your team has to collaborate. Like all your team members have to support each other. So encourage the peer learning. I think Dave, we are over the time.
Yeah, yeah, we're
Okay.
just at the bottom of the hour.
I will wrap up. Okay. So encourage collaboration, peer learning. Um, Give the opportunity for SDRs to give a presentation about what's working for them. Share the win, the loss as a team, and generally adopt a collective problem-solving mindset. Have a knowledge base where you can find the shared playbooks, the recordings, the prospect and customer intel and trends. Create a stimulating environment where it's fun to go at work with healthy competition, gamification, room for creativity. And to keep momentum, you need as a leader to stand for your team. When something is going bad, you have to take the hit and be here for your team and take the hit for them. When the team is going well and the numbers are great, you have to push your team for them to get the credits. So celebrate individuals, celebrate the team. That's it. So 3 pillars: trust, system, culture. And as a final thought, stop controlling. You won't be doing less. It's just you leading better. And don't try to control everything. Let the team perform without you. And as a result, you'll have built the ability to scale for your team, to have higher talent retention and higher performance. Thanks, everyone.